Awesome, Blossom. Excited today, hanging out with my boy Dylan Nonaka, the brother from another mother. I have to say, the Big Island, Kona, Kailua. I'm super excited. I love you guys in Hawaii. Obviously, we've built an amazing team out in Hawaii now, and it's grown like exponentially. I mean, back when
Wildfire.
we wildfire, like literally paper in the fire. Um, it's crazy. Now we're kind of doing. My boy Dylan here has been obviously with eXp for 4 years. Coming up, December will be 4 years for him. And we're kind of just doing a recap for him, kind of like, I guess the question would be, was it worth you making the move to EXP, kind of thing. And like, maybe let's do a recap for your anniversary. Let's talk about the journey and kind of where you're at today with it. Because in my mind, I don't think, and nothing against you, but I don't know if you would be where you're at today 4 years back if you went a different direction. Like if you went left instead of right. If you stayed with, because you came from a family brokerage, right? Was that true?
Kind of, yeah. I was at a Coldwell Banker franchise, which ended up getting bought by another Coldwell Banker franchise that was expanding their market footprint here on the Big Island. And so we had a little family team inside of that. It was my stepdad, my mom, and my brother. And so we had a little team operation, but it wasn't a legitimate team, right? It was just kind of like the four of us working together. And actually, one of the reasons that got me starting to look was not only did I not jive with the new ownership, but I was going to bring on one of my brother's classmates who lived on the other side of the island because we wanted to be able to feed leads to the other side of the island. And they had some pushback on that. Like they wanted to start him off on like the new agent split when I was like, hey, this doesn't really make sense. I'm going to be providing him with business and, he should get the same split as we get. And it was just like that really closed-minded, not having that expansion mindset that hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, this isn't where I need to be because our visions don't align with where we want to go. So if that didn't happen, I don't know if I would have ever looked. And I know for sure, to answer your question, there would be no way we would be where we're at today if I'd have stayed there.
I agree. And even though I think you're Superman in my eyes, like totally Superman, bro, because everything you touch does turn to gold. I mean, you have this thing, bro, like, I don't know, we'll get into that later. Maybe it's some magical Peter Pan dust or something, but whatever, so, okay. Let's go back then 4 years. You came introduced to this into EXP. Let's start the link chain here. I actually had an introduction to Shireen Duncan's my freaking unicorn. I love that woman to death. We've changed our lives dramatically. From Shireen went to John Ballesteros, right?
Yep.
John Ballesteros reached out to you. So that's to kind of put this into set the stage. EXP now 4 years. I've been in 6 for me, coming in January. And we started out in Hawaii. Let's just even set the stage for that. Before we even came to the Big Island, we started out more in Oahu, I think, with Randy Perthero originally, right?
There was a small footprint in Oahu, and I had like kind of heard of eXp. I mean, I thought it was just like every other real estate company, just a couple of letters. And when John reached out to me, I was actually looking. I just got my broker's license. All this stuff was happening at my previous brokerage, and I always tell this story, like you never know who to call and when they're ready, right? You never know when somebody is going to be ready to make a move or who's looking for what you have to offer. And I was actually like spending, you hear this story a lot, late nights on YouTube. I was watching YouTube about different business models in real estate. And I was pretty close to going to KW. That's what sparked my interest in EXP was I saw all these KW mega agents leaving KW to go to EXP. And because I like to follow smart people, I was like, okay, if these guys are doing it, what's up with this EXP thing? And so I started watching videos on EXP. I saw Gene Frederick's, 3 napkin presentation. And I was like, man, this seems like it makes a lot of sense and really is in alignment with what I want to do in business. And literally the next day, John calls me. And, out of the blue, we had mutual friends. I didn't know him. And I said, I'm thinking about this. Let's meet. And I was actually going to Oahu that weekend. So I met with him. And I'm a decider. Like, I was like, met with him. I'm like, hey, this all sounds good. I'm not sure if it's totally real, but it sounds good enough to try. And like made the decision the next week and switched.
Dude, I love it. Well, I think that's how visionaries work. The forward thinkers are always looking for like the pieces. And when they find the piece, they don't think about it. They're like, oh, that piece goes in that puzzle. Boom, that makes it complete. We're in. And I'm funny. I wanted to go back to what you said. You never know when someone's going to be at the right time or the right moment, which I guess the moral of that story is we should be calling every day, right? Ultimately, I just kind of want to throw that out there, right? Every day we should be calling. Okay, so you got on with John. You saw that vision. You saw it. And actually, if we go back to what you said about Cole Banker and that story, that was in alignment with your vision. EXP was in alignment with your vision. Yes?
I just always came from a place of contribution. Like I felt like even when I was at Colwell, I did weekly lunch and learns for the agents there. A lot of them were, old timers that weren't good at tech, and I had an advantage there, just kind of being better and more comfortable at tech. And so I always did those types of things. There was no personal benefit to me, right? I wasn't paid by the company. I just felt like, hey, the rising tide raises all ships. If I'm good at something, I'm going to share it. And when I saw the eXp model, it was completely built off of a culture of collaboration and contribution. And there was a way to financially benefit from it, right? It was a way to incentivize you doing the right thing and helping people. And I was like, man, if this is real, because I wasn't sure if it was real, like if this is real, this is powerful, and it's something I want to be a part of. And that was the hope. After coming here for the first year, I didn't really tell anybody, right? Nobody really knew what it was. Everybody gave you what's eXp. My brother and a couple of loyal friends said, hey, if you're going to try this, I'll go with you. They would have followed me anywhere. And so we didn't come over with like some big, huge operation. Like, you hear all these stories, people shutting down their brokerage with 100 agents and coming over, their team of 25 and coming over. It was me and a couple of friends. And we just kind of started doing our thing, and after a year, I was like, man, it seems like this is a real thing. Like this is actually working. But it didn't get big fast. And that's one thing that we always got to look back on. And I tell people, like, don't be intimidated by where you want to go based off of where other people are, right? Like when we came over here, it was literally like 4 or 5 of us. At the end of year one, I think there was 9 of us at the end of year one, and we did like 47 million. I did the numbers earlier. I think 47 million in production, 43 million in production that first year. But we weren't even a real team yet. We were just kind of a group of friends working together, right? And kind of doing stuff. So it started off normal. My first year at eXp, I did 24 transactions. I was a moderately successful real estate agent my first year.
That's actually high according to NAR, by the way. But that's one to also make everybody realize that this is something like crazy, because you were individual, 24 deals, like you said, moderately good. That's being very humble. But now fast forward this, and I want to kind of maybe go back and forth if we could. If we can go to some of the end of the story, then come back to the story, then go into the story, so everybody can get the whole story. So fast forward now again, and we're 4 years into it. You were a team of 1, and now we talked earlier offline. Was it 40 agents you got? 60 agents? How many agents you got now?
We're like gonna sign up number 80 or 81 today.
Ooh,
so yeah,
fire.
Yeah. I just had two meetings today. So yeah.
Okay, so I guess if we can actually ask ourselves, was eXp the right thing to do just in that arena? 1,000% you were able to do it. And was it the tools, the system, the scalability? What was it about eXp that maybe helped you get to that 80th person on your team?
It's all of those things, definitely, but most importantly, it's the culture, right? At the end of the day, the people that are coming for the culture that we have, the culture of collaboration, the culture of contribution, the culture of giving back. And we had that at some level because it was a little kind of friend team that started, but that's really supercharged by the overall system, right? It's not just 5 or 6 of us here that started. There was at that time about 18,000 people in the company. It's 80,000 today, but you can talk to anybody in the company and they have that mindset. And agents that are attracted to that need that are looking for that want that in their life and want that in their business, they're just coming. It's the easiest, it's almost at the point now where the discussion about compensation and stocks and the splits and stuff is almost secondary, right? They just want to know that, like, is what I see from the outside real? And is that something that you'll accept me to be a part of? And if it is, I'll just take however else the rest of the stuff works out is cool, Yeah. So that's really the underlying factor, is that it's intangible. You can't really do a slide deck presentation on it. You're not going to do commercials about it, but you can feel it. And that's right. That's what you can't replicate at other places.
Absolutely. Every time that I've had discussion with your team members and people around you in your area, they've all said the same thing, that the energy and the culture and the community that you've built over there is unparalleled. It's nothing, second to none. And so they say, you come for one thing, but culture makes you stay. You come for the systems or the training, but culture makes you stay. And you've built an amazing culture there that I think right now in this market, that we have seen a trend where it's a downturn, right? Mm-hmm. People more than ever are going to need something to hold on to, something to be a part of, a family, a culture, a community. We call it what you want. But if you think you're going to go out in this world right now in real estate, I don't care how long you've been doing it, and try to survive on your own, good luck. Good luck, right? So it's an important factor. Let's talk
Let
about
me
some of the.
let me let me illustrate let me illustrate that real fast, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what's
Go for
happening.
it.
This is exactly what's happening in the market today. Is in your traditional real estate model, revenue is going down. Brokers are tightening their belt. They're saying, I got to take more from my agents. You know, come the first of the year, guess what? You're gonna get proposed a different split. They're gonna want to keep more money from you. The other agents in your office are going to lock down because they don't want you to take any of their business and be their competition, right? That's going to be the feeling that you're going to feel in the next 4 to 5 months as we get into the new year, as the market continues to slow down. For us, 3 months ago when all this started happening, I told everybody, pedals to the metal, we're doubling down, we're going to start converting more leads, we're going to do more training, we're going to get you guys ready. And we actually, from a team standpoint, did more production in Q3 of 2022 than we did in Q2 or Q1. So our production actually went up because we don't operate off of a scarcity mindset, right? It's a abundance mindset. And I told everybody else is going to stick their head in the sand and be afraid of what's happening in the market. We're going to happily help their clients buy and sell homes because we're not going to stick our head in the sand, and we're just going to double down and put the pedal to the metal. So that's what's going to happen. That is what's happening in this market shift.
Oh, 100%. So, for example, we can talk about that, and we might as well bring some of those stats out real quick. We'll talk about that. You guys were just voted #1 for agents with a sale. This is in the island of Kona and Hawaii, the Big Island. What else? #1 for total agent count. #1.
Yeah. So if you break down, right? I mean, yeah, I love to. I'm a numbers guy, right? So I'm always analyzing the numbers and looking at the not only market stats from a real estate market standpoint, but I also look at market stats from the realtor standpoint, right? And the realtor brokerage standpoint. And yeah, I'm super stoked. You know, in 4 years, in less than 4 years, there was no eXp on the island. We are #1 for total agent count. We are #1 for agents with a sale, which is important, right? Because everybody says, oh, you guys don't actually sell real estate. Well, we sell more real estate than anybody else does. And the proof of that is we're #1 for unit count. So we've sold more properties in the last 3 months than any other brokerage on the island. So the proof is in the numbers, right? I mean, like you can say all you want about.
That's what I'm saying.
It is what it is. So
100%. I've always said you can talk all the mess and crap you want, but at the end of the day, numbers never lie, and you can't argue with them. 1 + 1 is always 2.
Yeah.
And I want to go back a little bit what you said. Let's go back and talk about that traditional, because I like where you're going with that. The traditional brokerage. I have several friends of mine that have their own independents, not even franchise models, independents that are looking to go back to the drawing board, re-strategize numbers, profits down, revenues down, units are down, GCI is down. Oh, and so when that happens, the cost of running their brokerage is staying the same. So where do you slide that scale? And now you're, like you said, let's start taking more commission, change the structure, take away some of these systems that were costing them money, right?
Reduce benefits,
Reduce
right?
benefits,
Reduce staff, right? Reduce support staff. Yeah.
Yep. all of that, right? But then how do we continue to do the same? Like in their mind, though, as a brokerage, or let's just talk of business in general, your goal is to continue to propel forward and become more profitable and more efficient. But when you have these challenges that you're on every side, these daggers being thrown at you, how do you do it? Well, you're right. eXp is the only model, hands down, that I would call bulletproof. It's bulletproof, man. I mean, you can try and knock all the holes in the want you want, but from a business perspective, and I've ran my own company. I had my own company back in 2000, real estate and mortgage. I ran to Keller Williams for 3.5 years. They're the largest freaking real estate franchise company in the world. Okay, they've been doing something right, and I learned from the best of them. Mm-hmm. And even that model is having challenges. Compass, let's just name some names. Compass to come out with their reports of Q4s, and boom, they're bleeding so much money like they can't find enough things to plug the holes in the ship.
I think they lost $125 million in the hottest real estate market in history. How do you do that?
How do you do that? I can tell you how you do that. You go out and you spend $50 million for Tom Brady, right? And you try to recruit Tom Brady, obviously. And I always say, I mean, we're being transparent here. It is what it is. If you don't like it, get off. But the truth is, the transparency piece is that you're either the value proposition, you're either buying it or you're attracting it. You're attracting it by value or you're buying the value. And if you don't have a value proposition that attracts talent, then you got to go out and throw out some dough, right? I got to go buy these top agents, and that's what's happening.
That's exactly what, if you compare and contrast in our market specifically, right? Every market's going to be somewhat similar, but if you look at the 4 biggest brokerages or 5 biggest brokerages in our market, it's eXp, Coldwell Banker, Hawaii Life, which is a local, very large brokerage, Compass, which is national, and Cochrane, which is national. All 4 of those after eXp bought market share. Like none of them expanded. Coldwell Banker came in from, it was a franchise from another island. They bought up all of a bunch of little franchises, a couple independents, and basically purchased their market share. Hoy Life, same thing. I mean, they've always been around. They've always been pretty big. They bought the Windermere franchise, so they bought 30 new agents that way. Compass, same thing, came in. The business model, right? Individually buy high producing agents, so then other agents are kind of like, oh, I want to go where they're going because all these high producing agents are there. So they're not making money off of any of these people because they're shelling out dough to get them to come. And same thing with Cochrane. Cochrane bought a local company that was pretty large. So none of these companies grew based on agents actually going to them. They just purchased them,
Yeah. So I always call that the microwavable piece, right? It's not really solid. It's not sustainable. It's not real. It's not. That's the kicker. It's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable model.
Because it lacks loyalty.
Right.
That's the key. The sustainability in any relationship, business, personal, whatever. If it's not based off of loyalty, then it's completely unsustainable. Because just the next shiny object will come to town, and then the next person with money will come to town, and they'll buy you, and you just I kind of feel bad for them, right? I mean, it's like your deals all change, your world gets turned upside down. You have no choice in the matter, and guess what? You definitely don't get compensated for it.
Well, absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact,
because you didn't have any equity in the company
to begin with, right? You walked out with the jacket that you wore in there. But you realize that's one of the biggest pieces, though, when you talk about taking a business like in a corporate world, right? The corporate structure is always designed around numbers, charts, and graphs, and it's about the bottom line. And I get it. That's business. I mean, capitalism at its finest. That's what America is built on. And I'm not a downer. I love capitalism. However, when you look at that from the perspective that most real estate agents are trying to gravitate towards, the emotional, the feeling, I love my broker, I love my team, I love the office, it's amazing people, right? That feeling, unfortunately, gets sold on a corporate level in these models, and you end up becoming a bottom line. You become a number, and there is none of that warm and fuzzy, if you want to call it, right? That love and culture. So you're able to extend that. Couple of things I want to go back to, even in the beginning, we'll talk about, because this has been a struggle in Hawaii with eXp even in the very beginning, 6 years ago. And it's, ups and downs, challenges. We were going through different structures of some different brokerages, right? Some BICs and some that kind of thing. It was a change in that. And a lot of people thought, I think, coming in to this transition, I know specifically in Oahu, I don't know how much it was in the Big Island, but there was challenges and talk and conversation of, oh, eXp is not going to last. They can't even get a broker in charge. They can't get this figured out, right? Where did you guys see any of that over there on the Big Island, or did you see it at all of that?
There was a little bit of that, that spilled over. But looking back on it, although there were rough times and unstable times, that's going to happen when you're growing as fast as we were growing. And looking back on it, I just look at that as a blessing, a learning experience where now, man, everything is like well-oiled machine and running well. It's like when you have perspective, right? You can look at like, hey, at least when we run into a little problem today, I'm like, hey, this is nothing compared to the days when it was a lot rougher. It was a lot harder to get to where we are. And that happens in everything that we do, right? Especially even just building our team. I mean, there were times when it was like, man, what are we doing? Like, we don't have enough people to do this and do that. And I don't have these systems in place. But until you go through that and then you can foresee it going forward, then you can build the right systems and have the right procedures and have the right people. And then it's going to, again, you kind of look at something the way it is now and see that expect that it was always that way, right? I mean, it was ugly. Yeah. You see all of the accolades and the awards and, all of these numbers and stuff like that, but you don't see all of the nitty gritty, gory work that went into building it. So, yeah. So to me, all that stuff is water under the bridge, and we're all better. We're all better because of it.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I just want to make a point to that nothing's perfect in this world. And you're right. When a company comes, first off, a cloud-based model that has never been done in the history of real estate, a cloud-based model. Now that houses and supports 86,000 real estate agents all over the world globally, right? We opened up 13 countries during COVID and never got on a plane one time to go open a company in a different country, right? That's crazy. That I understand the scalability and leverage of that. But
I just had this conversation. Yeah. I just had this conversation 2 hours ago. I was talking to an agent who's signing up right now. And, we're going through everything. She was like, yeah, I love to travel and have some friends in other countries. When is eXp going to go international? And I'm like, oh, we already are. We're in 21 countries. I'm like, you can bring agents on there and you'll get compensated for it. She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, for $85 a month, you can have an international global real estate operation. Like,
I love when you put it that way.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
For just $85 a month, I can't even get a Blockbuster card for $85 a month. You kidding me? It's a big, amazing piece that you get for $85. You're right. Put that in perspective, man.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, when somebody asks, what is your title? Like, yeah, well, I'm building a real estate empire, international real estate empire. That's
global.
What I do. Global, right? Like, okay. Never put that on my resume before, and that's fine. A lot of people are out there with their eyes wide shut. And I get it, right? The challenges of the market, the challenges of the industry, the challenges of different brokerage operations and different brokerage setups and styles. Everybody has probably at least been through at least 2 to 3 brokerages. If you've been in the business for 10 years or more, you've more than likely probably been to at least 2 brokerages by now, at least 2 to 3, right?
That's the biggest thing I'm asking people to evaluate as we come up to the end of the year, right? And if you're thinking, if you're going to participate in the slowdown and thinking that you're going to do less production next year, and now's the time to cut expenses, please first look at your largest expense, which is probably your broker. Right? Before you cut advertising, before you cut your staff or your assistants or anything like that, let's sit down, let's run some numbers. I can almost guarantee your largest single expense is your broker, and maybe that is where you should make a change.
Oh man, I literally had that conversation there with somebody, bro. Because it's as far as a realtor is concerned, most of the times when we're looking at our business, right, on way to cut costs or shave costs or make it more efficient, we're looking at like all the applications and the systems, right? And
we're looking at the money after we get paid, right? And we're like there's a huge chunk over here that gets taken out before you ever get your check. And if you're not examining what that number is and what your value is you're getting for that number, you're being fiscally irresponsible in your business, right? There's no 2 ways about it. Like, to be honest, but that's the bottom line. I mean, if you're making $1,000 a day at your business, but then you're spending 50% of it, and you're not looking at what's going on there before you start looking at the other 50%, you're missing out on a huge chunk of where you should be examining your finances.
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you right now, when I was at Keller Williams, I was getting 6% taken off my deals right off the top. I never even seen that money. Mm-hmm. Never even seen it. Like, never. And here's international.
Here's a fun thing to try doing. Try getting your broker to tell you what that number is.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like they act like it doesn't exist, right? They're not gonna does anybody get a printout at the end of the year and say, thanks a lot, this is how much you paid us, this is how much you got paid? Right? Well, yeah. doesn't try and make that ask and see how hard it is to get that printout or that report.
Yeah, the only benefit for us back then was that we had like a $3,000 royalty fee, right? So it was capped out at $3,000. So at least we knew we were at $3,000, but still, I mean, $3,000 a year that was my money. That was my money. I worked hard for it. But the reality is, you're right. I mean, as many times as realtors, we've changed and adapted to different systems models, CRMs, websites. I mean, we've all been $99 to death, right? I mean, I don't know realtor others that have been $19.95 to death for just $19.95, right? Try it for 6 months. I mean, we've all been there. Yep. And we try every 6 months, something new, something different. And it's because we want to improve. We want to make efficient, faster, better service for our clients between us and our, it's just, but we don't ever look, you're right, at the number one piece is like, you know what worked for me 5 years ago in my business definitely doesn't work for me today with my clients.
Yeah.
So if we didn't look at 5 years ago, we're still with the same brokerage, does that same model actually work with me today, 5 years later? Because my goals should have changed. And if your answer is yes, then there's another problem we have to have. We have to have another conversation, right? Because if you haven't changed your goals from 5 years, then there's another problem, right? So that should be a no answer, honestly. It should be a no answer. And no, you're right. Realtors never look at their brokerage. That's the last place to look at. Yep. So now moving forward for you, I mean, gosh, 4 years. And you know what? Number one, I could say I would have never met you in a million years. Like, even if I came to Hawaii, which I do frequent a lot because my family's from Oahu, I probably would have never even stumbled across you, brother. So think about the relationships that we've now had. And right?
That's the best part, man. That's the best part. Like, I mean, I have like literally hundreds of people from across the country that I can call for advice coaching, mentorship. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is truly, truly ridiculous, the amount of support, not just from your broker or from your immediate, support system here locally. It's like you have a national support system, and it's just, and I always go back to, I've told you this before, and I've thanked you, and every day I'm grateful for this. Is that was if you want to there was a precipice where like things changed, right? And it's like I came to eXp little less than 4 years ago, and in the summer, but it was maybe 5 or 6 months later, you called me and you said you got to come to this event in Vegas. There's this event that's going on, and it'd be great. You learn a bunch of stuff, and at the time it was like that was a big expense, right? I got to get a plane ticket, I got to pay $500, $600, whatever to get this event, but I believed you. I was like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm gonna take a shot at this, and I went to this thing, and it was a eXp Brent Gove event, and at the Red Rock, and I'll never forget, I sat there for 3 days and had my mind blown at how small my thinking was. And I was like, we can do this so much bigger than I could have ever imagined. And there was people on stage telling us exactly how to do it. I mean, I have pages and pages of notes from that I still look at to this day. I was just looking at them this morning. I have a folder of my electronic notes of all the events that I go to, and I look through them, and I still pull gems out of them. But that was the turning point where I was like, okay, this can be way bigger than I could have ever imagined. And now I have a playbook and people that I can go to ask how to do it. It was so always grateful for invite. That was a life-changing moment for me.
It was so funny. I do remember that. And that was the time, actually, I think you had met one of my guys over here, Terry Tucker.
Yes, he wasn't with us yet, but he was visiting.
Yeah. I just so Terry's not with us, right? And it was so funny. I was just talking the other day. I was in the Bay Area and had lunch with him. He's like, "Oh yeah, so my boy Dylan." He goes, "Oh yeah, Pie Gal guy, Mr. Pie Gal." I was like, "Yeah." It's like Terry's like, "I got into Pie Gal because of Dylan Nonaka and Chris in Vegas at Red Rock." But you're right. And so that's a funny story, but it was life changing for you, and those were life changing for me going to those events. And I even remember, if I backdated before, that was probably 3 or 4 events prior that Brent had been throwing and in Arizona, in Phoenix and stuff, where I met Shireen. But even today's speaker I had on a team meeting. I mean, the capacity and ability to bring people from all over the country Adam Bailey is talented, brother. He is a sleeper cell, like quiet in the corner, that guy. And he all of a sudden, like, wow, that's what you built? It's amazing, right?
I just got off the phone before this call with one of my agents from the other side of the island, and she was just on fire. She was on that call this morning, and she was like, "Man, I love that guy." She's like, "Because we live in a bubble here on the island, And she's like, "I can do what he did." I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, you can, right?" So they gotta hear that it's not just me, it's not just a few people that they see. Like, there's people all over the country doing this at a huge level, and they can do it too, right? Okay. These people aren't special. We're not special. We just put in the work, and we're in the right system to make it happen.
Absolutely. And that's when the communities that, like Adam even spoke, Adam comes from a very not really ideal situation, right? The environment that he was raised in. Mm-hmm. Honestly, not one that was supportive to be where he's at today, but he was just a driven individual. And and that is why we have this community that we built up, even with our Team Freedom here, that now consists of hundreds of agents all over the world in our Team Freedom. And we get to bring this added value to you guys to your front door. You're not getting that at your traditional brokerage that you go get in your car and drive down to your whatever. I'm not going to say names, but you're not getting it there.
It's almost ridiculous now when I get the answer or the question from an agent that says, "Tell me about what kind of support you guys have," right? And I'm like, "Do you have like 20 minutes? Because like I got to run you through like the 17 meetings we do as a team every week, the 40 hours of live training you have online." The 3 classes a week the state brokers put on. I mean, like there is so much. Like you couldn't, if you wanted to, you couldn't even attend it all, right? Even if you tried, right? And it's like people don't understand that. It's like they can barely get an office meeting once a month together in a regular brokerage, and like the amount of information that's available, the amount of people to network with, it's ridiculous. It really is. Like it's almost like comical, like having that discussion.
It is. And I don't think people, again, though, they're kind of traditionally, I don't want to say brainwashed, but they're definitely not in alignment with what this new level of real estate is about.
You just don't think it's possible.
No.
Right? I mean, if all you've known is what you've known, like, you just don't know. If all you've ever drinking is water, you don't know that, Pepsi will blow your mind, right? I mean, so.
Or you realize Coke's better. But yeah, no, exactly. But now we're given this opportunity. Man, this has been a crazy ride. I'm telling you right now, it's been a crazy ride, and I would say and truly attest to the fact that your numbers are like they speak volumes. You can't argue with those numbers. Your production is through the roof. What are you seeing yourself doing here in the next 2 to 3 years, production wise on a team?
We're just gonna keep growing. I mean, it's now the focus is to reach out to the other islands, and I'm talking to a team in Portland that may come on and actually just come under our umbrella and our operation. And that's the thing that's so scalable about this, not just nationwide, but worldwide, is if you have a good culture and good systems and processes in place, you can, every market is different, but the systems that can make you successful in a market are the same, right? And you can just flip the switch and open up and something else. So, man, I wish, in answering that question, it's like a double-edged sword, because on one side of it, I would have never imagined we'd be where we were 4 years ago today. So I have no idea. Like, I mean, but I just know it's going to be big. I just don't know how big it's going to be. Like, it's almost like it's unfathomable what the potential is. But I always go back to, right? People talk about growth and scale and all this kind of stuff, but it's really about impacting people's lives, right? At the end of the day, that's the thing that gets me up in the morning and like gets me to work is I just ran numbers, and I got a brand new agent starting in February. She had 11 closed transactions in the third quarter. Like, that's amazing, right? I mean, like, these are agents that are just putting in the work, they're doing the right things, and we have the systems in place to supercharge their business. And they left the 20 years working at Walmart, right? And this has changed their life financially. Wow. and freedom wise, and that's the stuff that matters, right? And we have the ability to do that on a huge scale. And so it's not about like the numbers and the production, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's about impacting people's lives and for the better, right? And they always tell people that this isn't fun, then stop. You know what I mean? Like, don't do it if it's not fun anymore. But that's where we're going, right? It's just touching as many people as we possibly can, because we got the vehicle to do it.
I know it's one of the things. I had this conversation the other day, and I kind of give my resume a lot, and I said that I've been at eXp for 6 years now, and this is the best 6 years out of my entire career in real estate. And somebody asked, well, what's different about it? And like, well, yeah, obviously eXp is different. It's mind blowing, but I've never been able to be in a position where, when you talk about impact on people's lives, as realtors, the biggest impact we've had traditionally is to go change the life of a buyer and seller, right? Home ownership really does matter, and home ownership is a big thing. And when somebody buys their home for the very first time, it's life changing. So we do change their lives on a big way, and we build that relationship with them, and we build a friend that we can stay with forever and hopefully do business with them and their family. But that was the extent of our impact, right? And I'm not saying it was a bad impact, but that was the extent of the impact, with a total stranger that we meet somewhere out in the field, and we establish a relationship with, and we sell them a home, and we change their life. Amazing. However, in the 2 decades or more that I've been in this business, I've never been able to really impact the life of somebody I really care about, like a friend or a colleague in the business that I know, like, and trust, right? The most I could ever do for them was coach them and train them on how to do more deals. It really was. I really couldn't teach them how to love more, or how to bring, okay, I could introduce them to some more culture. Let's infuse some culture in your life and your team. That was amazing too. But the reality was, I'm going to teach you how to go sell more deals, how to take 40 deals and turn them into 80, how to take, 120 deals and make it 240. That's what we're trying to do. And the reality is, I wasn't really improving their life. I was improving their bank account, but their real life as a whole was deteriorating. Mm-hmm. It was imploding from the inside out. Their life, their health, their emotions, their relationships were going to garbage. So now I'm like, I love what you say, make an impact, because I have people that text me now on our team that say, thanks for changing my life. Even you just said it right now. Thanks for changing my life. Like, you've changed my life. And well, you don't really think about that until you really think about that. So yeah.
And it's not like just a cliche thing. Like, it's legitimately true. Like, we are giving people the opportunity. I've been given the opportunity, and now I'm going to pass that opportunity on to create generational wealth and, break generational curses. I mean, it's crazy. So it's not just the impact of like that individual agent, it's their family, their kids potentially, right? I mean, that is the opportunity that we get to present to people and help them achieve. And there's nothing better to do. Yeah.
Well, like you were saying, that girl that come to your team, or that person that was working at Walmart, if they had stayed in said employment for the remainder of their life, they would have none of this.
Mm-hmm.
And now their life is, and their family's life and their kids' life has been changed forever. It's amazing. And for those who want to talk down, I'm saying this nicely, who want to talk down on the fact of, oh, generational wealth, oh, legacy, what does that even mean? Who cares? I want to go sell real estate. You should open your mind. You should be the one that has a better conversation and gets a better understanding of opening your mind to something bigger than what's standing in front of you. Because that is going to be the downfall of the majority of the people in this world, unfortunately. They're going to succumb to that linear type mentality. The only way I'm going to get paid is if I go get another deal, and nothing else matters.
Trading their time for money.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Sooner or later, the time runs out and you don't have any money left. So
yeah, well, Big's right. At some point, we all die, which means the time does end. Yeah, and what does that even mean? And everybody says the same thing when they're talking about that moment before death. Well, that people have talked about. I personally, but I'm saying, you look back and you ponder and you reflect. God, I wish I would have spent more time doing this, and I wish I would have spent more time doing that. Mm-hmm. Right? But why don't we think about that right now? Why do we have to be in a position of dying to get to that point where we have to reflect on things that are most important to us, which is your family life? And anybody out there that wants to argue, dude, we can talk all day about it. I'll challenge you all day, one for one, about you thinking that your model allows you the ability to have freedom. It does not. I can tell you right now, it does not. I'll argue all day long, but I'll tell you it does not. And that's fine. But anyways, yeah.
I just at least give us the opportunity to show you another way. And if it doesn't make sense, we can still be friends. That's what I tell
100%,
everybody.
100%.
Like there's no pressure. I just want you. I feel like now that we've been blessed with this opportunity, we have a moral obligation to make sure everybody knows that they also have the same opportunity and that we can feel good at night that they turned it down. And it's not because we didn't tell them about it, right? Yeah. So that's kind of the way I approach it now.
Yep, I love it. I love it. So I would say to sum it all up, you moving to eXp was probably the best thing that you ever did in your entire life.
Changed my life. Yep.
Changed your life.
Legitimately.
Legitimately changed your life. And your kids' life. And your boys. Beautiful wife, amazing boys. Your kids are awesome. Changed their lives too, right? So, yeah. And I'd say that, even my 6-year journey has been remarkable. I never would have thought in a million years either that I would be in a place I'm at right now with the amount of people in my organization and the growth and the ability, the touch that I have with people all over the world. It's amazing. It's making me actually step up. To be honest, making me step up and to be better myself too. It's encouraging me to be better because now I have a lot of people that are relying on me.
Absolutely. You have a responsibility to lead.
Responsibility to lead. Yep. And that's one that's not taken lightly. So, it is. It's a building a business, and it's building a solid foundational business that encumbers the culture, the community, the support, the leverage, everything to give everybody what they need to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we got here at eXp. And, you're right. If anybody's out there that's curious and wants to know more, reach out to Dylan or myself. You obviously just heard Dylan's story, heard mine. We both have been here now for a good amount of time. And so it's real. Just let the cat out of the bag. It's real. It's not a hoax, everybody. Just let you know, this is really real. Everybody thought we were going to be like the overnight sensation, kind of like, Milli Vanilli. We weren't really real. No, we're really real. And as you can see your numbers on the right there, Dylan, good Lord, you're going to do production. Our team Freedom, period. We're going to do over 2,000 transactions this year and over $1 billion in volume.
It's crazy.
Our team Freedom is going to do that. Just digest that if you're watching this video. We're talking over 2,000 deals in a year. And
you personally have zero, or your overhead is $85 a month.
I'm not an Einstein. I'm not the smartest guy ever in class. Like in the yearbook, I wasn't that guy. Just going to be the most successful guy. No. But I tell you what.
I'm not that good at math, but I'm thinking that's probably a pretty profitable business model.
I'm even carrying the one and do that kind of thing, right? Carry the one. Yeah. That business model, that math works out pretty good in my mind. But yeah, whatever. And that's to each his own. And I love this culture. We definitely are one big fire, as they say. And we're definitely in the business of rising all ships. The tides rise all ships, and we are definitely proving that time and time and time again, every day, every day.
Yeah.
So, man, I've been blessed to meet you. I mean, I'll tell you what, I always tell Marissa, God, we'll be sitting there laying in bed. I'm like, oh, I love that Dylan. And Marissa's like, oh, I love that Dylan too. He's such a good guy. He's such a great guy.
You're my number one promoter. You're my number one promoter,
no,
man.
I'm telling you, I was like, in some other life, we were supposed to be brothers, man. In some other life, we're supposed to be brothers, and now we really are truly brothers. And then brothers for life, man. I love you to death. I love you like a brother. You're family to me. It's what it is. But that's what this is.
And if anybody here on the island wants to meet Chris, he'll be here in December. So
that's right. December 2nd. December 2nd.
Meet him in the flesh. Yeah.
Absolutely. Y'all need to come out, by the way, if you're watching this, December 2nd, Level Up 2023. Yep. Dylan's been doing this consecutively for the past 2 or 3 years, and it's exponentially growing too. We've had amazing guests last year for Level Up. This year is going to be a business planning clinic. I mean, everything you need, tools, systems to be rocking your business for 23. And God, you got to go to Hawaii. Oh, that sucks. Man, I'd rather go to Minnesota. But yeah, so you get to go to Hawaii too. Good God, how can you miss out on that? Get educated, get your business mind.
At a beautiful oceanfront resort right on a peninsula. I know.
Yeah. The outrigger, overlook it. We can go see sea rays out there, man, and go free diving. All right, well, yeah, December 2nd, 3rd, we'll be out there, so we're excited. But yeah, just watching this growth over there in Hawaii. I mean, this is just one small part of our business, Team Freedom, and watching it grow. You have been instrumental in that. Shireen has been instrumental in that. Roan and them have been instrumental in that. I mean, there's so many names I can name off. It's like I can't name them all off, but they've been instrumental in the progress of eXp in Hawaii and making it what it is. Number 1 market share. I mean, the largest brokerage in eXp on the Big Island. That's crazy.
I think we're over 700 statewide now too.
Yes.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's insane. And I remember when we started, it was 19. I mean, literally, I think Randy Berthel, we had like 19 total MLS count eXp in Hawaii.
I love it.
And I was like, dude, watch it go from 19 to 700.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch that thing go to 2,000. 2,000. I mean, what's your total age? It's like 7,000 total MLS. All of the boards?
They're different, right? So I only know my island. We have like around 1,500. Here's what's crazy, right? There's like 1,500 agents in the MLS on this island. eXp has 143 of them. So we're approaching 10% market share in terms of agents on the island. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep.
So and just our team alone this year will do close to 10% of all the transactions that happen on this island. That was my goal from last year. Our planning conference last year, I told the team, I'm like, I just want to own 10% of the transactions on the island. It's not a big goal, right? Let's just do 10%. And I thought it would take a couple of years, but it literally took 1 year. And you know, we'll be right around there this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kicking ass and taking names. I love it, brother. All right. Well, hey, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for taking the time, man.
Absolutely. Recapping your 4 years and my time here. And I think both of us can strongly agree that was the best thing we've ever done in our business and our career. And for those who don't think it would be, give us a shot. Give us a call. Like you said, what do you got to lose? Listen to what we have to say. And you know what? If it doesn't work for you, just do a part, still stay friends. So it's all good.
All good.
All right, man. Well, until next time, aloha.
Thanks, brother.
Great evening. Talk to you soon. All right.
Good.